My female intuition says she wants to be more than just good friends.
Thank you, Counselor Troy. Are there any other completely obvious observations you would like to make? Such as Edie's development is being restrained. Or you can play Rate the Agonizing Screams by jabbing Joker's legs repeatedly.
So Tali settles in and takes over engineering in its entirety, and is planning to turn it into a powerhouse.
Please, Shepard, I'm a Quarian. Give me a chunk of scrap metal, a circuit board, and some element zero, and I'll have it making precision jumps.
Plus, she can bring our shields up a few tiers of power, which should hopefully save us from being shot to hell again. Dying hurts.
And I really, really hope she only found this method in the past 2 years. For if she had this while we were still back on the original Normandy, I'd be pissed.
Though in private conversation, she does tell us she's missed the Normandy a lot. Illium is our next world, and has a lot of stuff to do on it. It's also considered a quasi-legal location, as it's one on an imaginary borderline between the Terminus and Citadel. So a lot of questionable practices go on there.
It should surprise no one it's an Asari-controlled world, and a lot of less than moral practices go down here. In fact, more than happen on Omega. Then again, Omega only has one rule.
Don't fuck with Aria.
But we're given the warm welcome and have our docking fees.
What docking fees? We've never had to pay docking fees. Miranda, is there something you've not been telling us about Omega and the Citadel?
Anyways, such are waived by, yes, Liara, as she's set up shop here as an information broker. Turns out it's not that much different than archaeology and execution with respect to finding details.
Have you faced an Asari commando unit before? Few humans have. I'll make it simple. Either you pay me, or I flay you alive. With my mind.
I'd be reminded such would be a reason to not piss off Liara, but then I remember.
Meow-Meow Choco-Chow.
And it just becomes so hilarious, I cannot take her being a threat seriously.
But yeah, she plays catch-up with us, really invested in trying to track down and eliminate the Shadow Broker, in revenge for killing a close friend.
And, the whole thing with trying to take our corpse, she's kind of vengeful and insular. Must run in the family. And it does, though not just with Benezia.
This is technically a later scene, but this is Matriarch Aethia, and she is voiced by the ever-awesome Claudia Black.
One of the stars of my favorite sci-fi series ever, Farscape. If you've not seen it, do so. It's really held up well over the years. I cannot recommend it enough, and her presence as a voice actor in Dragon Age is why I'd like to get to those someday.
And she is Liara's, for lack of a better term, father. They both know this, though neither has decided to reach out to the other, preferring to keep tabs. And I love the interactions with her.
Dad was a Krogan who fought in the Rachni Wars. My mother fought in the Krogan rebellions. They didn't meet until a few hundred years after the Turians put the boot in with the damn Genophage. As far as either one knew, they were both just warriors. Dad boasted. Mom stayed quiet. Mom was a matriarch herself. Dad was near on 1,000 when the truth came out. They got me on the link. Told me that they were gonna have it out. And made me promise to love whichever one survived. Turned out to be damn easy, since neither one did. Family, huh?
But this is also telling of that thing I said earlier about the Fabulum Nova Crystallis' voice actor's appeal being damaged for me if I'd not mapped other characters to their voices, such as Liam O'Brien as Endrance over his role as Caius, Liara is the offspring of Aaron Sun and Demona, two badass characters I really enjoy, and I still don't particularly care for her. She should be my main ship, damn it!
Anyways, like Liara, she can let us know of our next two recruits, the assassin Thane Krios and the Asari Justicar Samara. But she also wants a favor in tracking down whoever's stalking her by planting some bugs, then looking at some intel that eventually leads to her pacifying her assistant Nyxeris. We actually get a lot of addendums from last game carry over here. In one of the courtyards, an Astari that knows us has a message from an old friend. The Arachnite Queen's rebuilding her race in relative peace. Some individuals like her helped out by them and are returning the favor. Glad that worked out for them then. Oh, and Gianna Parasini's here too, doing some work for Novaria, which we can help out with as well. Third is Shiala from Pharaoh.
Why are you green?
She is here to get some help for Zeus Hope, as the Tholian left some debilitating elements of itself in them.
Why are you green?
And the company doing the medical research has been overstepping their bounds with the contract they've imposed.
Why are you green?
Wait a minute. Shiala, you were only green when the Thorian made you a clone. The real you was blue, like normal Asari.
Thank you!
Yeah, it's Tholian after effects for her as well. Her skin pigments being screwed over, as are her biotics, and her dreams haunt her. The representative is, well, a spiteful, racist, pro-Asari bitch. But we get her to see reason after we get her talking about her family and what she has lost.
Every war that has plagued this galaxy has been caused by your people. My people's deaths are on your hands.
Actually, I can track almost every major conflict since the Asari discovered the Citadel back to their action, inaction, or imposing of laws without the foresight to see when they might hinder either progress or the quelling of escalating tensions. Usually by doing the exact opposite of what they should do in a given situation.
Evidenced by the woman having lost her family both in the Morning War on Rannoch, and then her daughters on the Citadel attack 2 years prior. And I've already made my spiel repeatedly on how both of those situations were a clusterfuck of compounded errors. But I take the renegade route and condemn her actions by the example of her damn family, mainly because she pissed me off in the moment by implying the Asari are above everyone else by not causing those problems, when their lack of actions actually did lead to the escalation that did play part in it, and she relents.
I don't think I could have... Is it always like this? Yesterday's problems lingering in some new form. Isn't anything ever just fixed?
I hope not. Otherwise I'll never stop complaining about awful things I've reviewed, when after I've destroyed the media, I should be done with it.
Unfortunately, that leads us to a rather annoying cosplayer.
You want to see how far I'll go? I learned how to shove a gun in people's faces from... Commander Shepard?
Hey, if you know this idiot, can you rein him in before I slap his ass with a singularity?
Well, I don't see why not.
So you're alive, huh? I hear it goes like that in the biz. Why don't you sit back and watch how it's done? I got some asses to kick.
I take that back. He's mine.
Conrad, let me make this perfectly clear. This is not acceptable.
No, that's too extreme even for him.
Conrad.
Ha! Kick him in the quad! Sorry, my father was a Krogan.
Yeah, Conrad Verner is even more delusional and annoying than before, thinking he's making a difference and talking big, when really he's been duped into harassing Aethia in our first real encounter with her, and pretty much lampshading the whole quest system for the games.
So, you just wander the galaxy, righting wrongs?
Hey, don't say it like that. I talk to people, you know? Ask them if they have big problems that only I can solve. You'd be surprised how many people are just waiting for someone to talk to them. Sometimes I poke through crates, too. You know, for extra credits.
He seems to have not mastered red-blue morality, however. It's like black and white morality, but less you're the bad guy and more you're an asshole.
But he's not mastered the ability to read people and situations, and is actually doing the dirty work of one of Athea's competitors.
This place is actually a front for a red sand dealer. I need to take it over to crack the ring.
Listen, crap for brains. First, we don't sell red sand. Second, red sand is legal on Illium, you just need a license.
Your knowledge of the land shall be great.
Fortunately, this does lead to us getting a discount at the local weapons dealer. As I threatened to give that bullet I refrained from using on Conrad to her instead. And we convinced the idiot to stop being the cast of ToQger and go back to his life and stop annoying the only Asari matriarch we ever see in these games that doesn't have a singularity shoved up her ass. I don't know how old Arya is, she might be a matriarch as well, I don't know.
Any chance we could convince her to 10 bar in the Normandy? This is yet another character I'd just love to have on the ship.
Anyways, let's go recruit Justicar Samara. Justicars are, well, the paladins of Asari culture.
What's a paladin?
Yeah, that. They have a very methodical code for bringing justice to their jurisdiction, and in many sectors are considered above the law, because they are the law.
I am the law!
Actually, that's a better parallel. Thing is, they're mainly stationed in Asari-controlled spaces, which can be argued to be the most of the galaxy, but I mean their core worlds and systems. It's rare for them to be out here and taking down lowlives.
Unfortunately, she's run aground of the local law, and while the Asari detective is more than smart enough to not get herself killed from their perceived obstruction, well, everybody's a criminal that could have crossed the code on Illium.
Again, the problem with absolute lawful good morality. Everybody looks like a criminal. But they are big on hopeless causes, so maybe they'll join up without a hassle.
We find Samara as she takes down an eclipse merc, and that goes out the window. Yep, quest time. Samara is after a dangerous criminal, but due to her issues with the local law, the information she's after could be lost. Fortunately, Samara is a bit flexible in that she knows codes that can allow her reprieves from her duties for short times. So if we can get her information, she can leave and not kill a bunch of people for inhibiting her duties. And we'll get her on the mission as a result. Everybody wins! The information is with the Eclipse Sisters, a sect of the organization specializing in an all-Asari operation, their inductees all having committed at least one murder to gain entrance. And as such, when one starts begging for her life, proclaiming her innocence...
You chose your side, Elnora, and you lost.
Screw that bastard and screw you!
I told you we were flexing the renegade muscles this game.
Made worse by them now trafficking in a narcotic that immensely increases biotic power, but is highly toxic. I wonder if it would actually make biotics useful in combat. I mean, how bad can the stuff actually be?
I am a biotic god. I think things, and they happen. Fear me, lesser creatures, for I am biotics made flesh.
Oh, aren't you adorable?
And how strong is the biotic god?
No change at all then.
So we get the data, and Samara pledges her loyalty. Yay! Samara is a very zen and spiritual person, as you'd expect from a galactic paladin, and she lets us upgrade our fuel stores for a bit more travel capabilities. Thane, however, has gone after someone who's duped us in the past. You may remember Nasana Dantius, the Asari who tricked us into killing her sister, so she could get some form of reward. Well, it turns out she's been downsizing her company a few too many ways, and Thane's been contracted to take her out. And Nasana's gone completely crazy with trying to keep herself alive, performing further downsizing to her employed assets.
And by downsize, I of course mean slaughtering them.
As told by this Solarian that just barely escaped the worst of it. But Thane's an assassin with a conscience, in that he's very against collateral damage, as we repeatedly find in the climb civilian workers that have been shoved out of the way of the conflict. We try to grill one of the Eclipse we corner, but he's busy taking a trip.
See you next, fall.
Speaking of renegade prompts, Spectre Punch!
Hurt me. I hardly felt a thing.
Yeah, this section is filled with nothing but snarky one-liners that are just hilarious.
Shepard, but you're dead.
I got better.
Hell, most of the exchanges with Nasana are such, as she thinks we're after her. She is, of course, dead wrong.
You've got a choice. You don't have to do this. I can tell you.
What?
I heard something.
Damn it. Check the other entrances.
You stay put.
When I'm finished dealing with this nuisance, you and I are going to...
And of course, Thane Krios is awesome.
Thane is a Drell, a reptilian race from a desert world, one who had yet to discover Mass Effect tech by the time their planet ran out of resources due to industrial expansion outstripping advancement of technology. The Hanar, the jellyfish, took pity on them and saved a scattering of their people by uplifting them, coming to a mutually beneficial coexistence alongside integrating them into the greater galaxy. But unfortunately, due to the arid climate of their homeworld, and in fact the Hanar come from an ocean world, their bodies can only tolerate humid climates for so long before it erodes their ability to intake their oxygen. Game creation-wise being based on the real-life disorder cystic fibrosis.
Thane is one who suffers such an affliction, called Keppel syndrome, and only has a few years to live. So he's up for the mission, especially as it'll add a few more lives to his score of saved over murdered.
Thane became an assassin as part of that coexistence of their people, serving as the arm of the race for tasks they find difficult, serving as their armed forces. It's, however, not a forced contract, but one seen as an honor to take on. Honestly, the Hanar-Drell relationship is probably the best case scenario for ourselves if we ever made contact with a race far more advanced than our own, if we end up screwing over the planet before we can possibly start expanding into other worlds. They have a chance to thrive and grow and colonize planets, but they're content with what they have, as they saw what they could screw up if they went too far again on their own.
The guy is pretty interesting, once more a spiritual addition, praying to a vast pantheon of deities for his various goals. But he has a weak spot: vengeance. His wife was murdered by his enemies, and as all Drell possess perfect recall, once that was seared into his mind, he went kind of nuts in hunting the lot of them down, leaving his son on his own, which he now regrets. This is going to come back to bite us, I just know it. Unfortunately, the next thing on the list involves Miranda. Yes, it's time for her loyalty mission, and it involves getting her sister to safety.
Yeah, her sister. Miranda's father, is a bastard. Instead of building a family, he just had himself cloned with varying degrees of genetic augmentation, going through clone after clone until he got a Miranda. Then she failed to meet expectations.
Which kind of says a lot about her actions. She's trying so hard to have the right answer, make the right decision, that she doesn't understand the point of the choice itself and its meaning, thus misses a lot of details that can better inform the best decisions, which she always screws up.
So, pretty much, he saw her as a failure, as she never had the right answer. And still does not. Not realizing it was how she was raised that caused such an alienation of understanding. That she's not grown since that, however, been ruled by it albeit unintentionally, can be seen as more of her own fault.
It wasn't until he made plans for the next in the series did Miranda snap and engineer her escape, taking the child, Oriana, with her, and went straight for Harper and Cerberus.
Yes, she went to terrorists to back her. Why? Her dad was a Cerberus backer. Kind of explains a lot, doesn't it? Her loyalty with them assured because they've been protecting Oriana and keeping her secrets, except someone leaked the secret.
My bet has always been Harper put his fingers in one too many pots and caused this situation to possibly threaten her loyalty, Miranda thus making plans to get Oriana and her adopted family to another location, thus bringing in her friend Niket to manage the relocation, and that was the mistake, because Miranda sees people as beneath her. Niket thus had no reason to trust her, and in turn was going to turn Oriana over to their dad, and got Eclipse in on the extraction, which we of course have to slaughter. But not before her keeping secrets also hits us.
As everything I've elaborated on, we get it once we're on the mission. We're once more given little reason to empathize with her, especially as we're given no insight aside from Miranda's word to the truth. And Miranda's consistently been about doing what's best for her or the mission, so could be lying to get what she wants. She's not in this case, but from prior interaction, I didn't put it past her.
Niket, however, isn't sure he's doing the right thing, but being the Cerberus cheerleader has exasperated his negative views immensely. He, however, didn't tell Daddy Lawson about Oriana's location, meaning he's now a loose end to her.
This isn't how I wanted it to end, Niket.
Miranda, wait! You don't want to do this.
And that's the mistake you keep making, Miranda. You don't try to allay people's concerns. You just prop yourself up as right, no matter what anyone may have to say which diverges from your views. And ultimately, you don't trust them. Your opinion is not absolute. For Niket had doubts her confidence could have removed. But because she didn't, he was still put in a position where he died for no reason.
It's always been like this. My father gave me anything I ever wanted, but there was always a hook, an angle for his long-term plan. I threw away everything he ever gave me when I ran. Except Niket. Weakness on my part?
You can't toss aside everything you care about just to be safe.
So yeah, Oriana's safe. We encourage Miranda to go and talk with her, in hopes it'll get her to lighten up. It doesn't work. Around now, we get another call from the elusive man. Turns out a collector's ship has been rendered derelict in a fight with some other ships, and the intel from going to it could be vital in getting through Omega-4.
It's a trap!
Yep, and we walked right into it. The data for the situation being completely fabricated by Harper. Even we, the people he spent 2 years assembling, could just be thrown under a bus for the bigger plan.
I'm kind of skipping past this, as its only other relevant detail is the thing about collectors being heavily genetically rewritten Protheans.
Though you do have the option of a character specialty weapon, but they all suck compared to what we already have. So the collectors isolate us on platforms, while Edie works to regain access to the ship's systems to get us out of here, our group only surviving because of that AI's actions. Which honestly did build a bit of goodwill. Though we still have to fight our way back out of the ship, and have Joker get us the hell out of Dodge, which he does better at than last time.
You betrayed us, just like I knew you would.
Give me a reason to count that third strike, Harper. That sun screensaver isn't fooling anyone.
He tries to justify it as needing the data mine of the ship revealing details they could already have confirmed elsewhere, as we'll see. The collector ships use an IFF to get through the Omega-4 relay, which means we need another of their ships, or a Dead Reaper, since that is now confirmed. He'll work on it, meaning we're back to preparing our team.
You have one job. Information. If I can't trust your intel, you're useless to me.
But Edie was able to figure out where the base is beyond the relay. It's within the Galactic Core.
The Galactic Core in the Mass Effect universe follows current working models, in that it's a congregation of multiple black holes who in concert created the gravity that helped congeal the galaxy. What happens when one black hole intersects with another black hole? That's a question I'm honestly curious about.
Still, it explains why no one's ever gotten beyond the relay. Since they're giant slingshots that align with corresponding units, and the path of the transmission leads through a region heavy with black holes. Thus, either the system calculation isn't accurate enough without the IFF, so the ship gets torn up from gravitational forces, or there's something else on the other side that does that, and the black holes just make getting there in any other way ridiculously impractical. And now I am a ghost. Well, what's the rest of the ship?
The Admiralty Board has accused me of treason.
Oh, come on! Unless working with us is traitorous activity, she hasn't done anything to deserve that since she left the flotilla.
Well, guess what just jumped to the top of priority, bitches? She has no idea what she did either. And since her dad is on the Admiralty Board that would declare such, something big has to be going down she's been scapegoated for. Thus, it's off to the migrant fleet to find out what. And sure enough, the trial's all there waiting for us.
Jeez, it's like they were going to sentence her in absentia, even though Tali says they'd give reasonable time.
Something that's both better and worse is they've stripped her of her ship name and reassigned her to the name of Voss Normandy. And under the law, her captain, us, gets to defend her. Alright then, what did she do?
They're charging you with bringing active Geth into the fleet as part of a secret project.
Okay, that's a good one. No, seriously, what'd she do?
They're charging you with bringing active Geth into the fleet as part of a secret project.
Admiralty, I'd like to enter the plea of not guilty with a side of, are you out of your freaking minds? Tell them how stupid they are.
I never brought active Geth aboard. I only sent parts and pieces.
Oh, for the love of... When?
I'm going to assume this happened either during the events of last game, or on her various missions as part of the flotilla, as we haven't even encountered the Geth since she joined us. She was asked to by her father as well, making it an order from a superior which, while not a legitimate defense in military court, makes one wonder why he agreed to go through with this, as he'd be out.
Then explain how Geth seized the lampship where your father was working.
Oh, right. Politics. And yeah, the whole thing against Tali is nothing but politics between the Admiralty, which is split between the issues of their survival and the Geth. Tali'zorah's big screw-up bringing things to a head. And of course, Tali wants us to reclaim his ship, the Alarai, from the activated Geth.
The safest course would be to simply destroy the ship. But if you are looking for an honorable death instead of exile...
I'm looking for my father, you boshtet!
The irony is, I get where the douchebag admiral, named Chorus, is coming from. While the most hostile towards Tali, it's because of an ideological divide between him and Rael. He's actually a Morning War apologist, believing the Quarians' actions against the Geth were wrong.
And they were. And it's nice to see someone in charge that sees that, and if coexistence were possible between them, he would be all for it.
Actually, if you are able to get Legion before the mission, there are ways to get him on board for discussions with everybody that are pretty fascinating. As since the primary Geth on Rannoch wanted the freedom to live, they wouldn't particularly mind coexistence or even giving the Quarians the chance at returning home. The problem is, in the centuries since the Morning War, every time the Quarians have had tactical advantage with which to destroy Geth, they've taken it. And such evidence builds up over time. That leaps of faith and blind trust towards forming a peace isn't something that's going to happen for a sentience that runs entirely off of logic. So the non-aggressive option isn't exactly one. I'm honestly surprised, though, that the Geth haven't thought about just offering an olive branch, but once more considering historical hostility to AI, more likely judge such wouldn't be possible.
And yeah, Chorus is in the distinct minority among their people. The rest of the Admiralty pushing for naught but all-out war against the Geth to reclaim Rannoch. One that, with their numbers, would do nothing but slaughter them. But they grow more desperate by the year as their situation declines, and they've been forbidden from settling a planet for 3 centuries. Thus, Rael's project, a way to try and regain control of the Geth, which everyone thinks is a brilliant idea, especially Admiral Zen, who is a mad scientist at heart that doesn't see the point of even bothering with the trial and going after collateral instead of those directly responsible for screwing up, and seeing the Geth as nothing more than malfunctioning drones, and thus the whole Enterprise rail went under as valuable even if botched. Jarrell's the warmonger amongst the Admiralty, actually in Tali's camp, as the resources she was providing could have given a lot of valuable information for when they do launch the offensive, and seeing how they were used by others not correlating back to her, as a competent group would have double-checked their safety. And Shalaran, well, is Tali's surrogate aunt, helping to raise her after her mother died, and Rael was consumed with work. Shala I end up feeling is the worst of the bunch due to the personal nature of this betrayal, keeping every part of why she's even here from her simply to serve a greater machination. The others are assholes in their own ways, sure, but this is effectively family. And that hurts most of all, even if she can't actively be part of the trial due to that connection. Though while we're here, we also check in on Vidor and Cal, and they're both doing much better than they were before. Anyways, the Alarai, yeah, it's swarming with Geth, meaning they've been rebuilding them in their entirety for the weapons tests, and not just inserting a dummy program to make them move for weapons or counter-AI testing, as is showcased from the records we access. Sure enough, everyone's dead, Des, revealing their research was to disable or override the Geth's method of cleansing their programming from external hacking over the long term. They can be hacked short term, but the multiple runtimes that make up the network conscious mind of a Geth can detect that, and over time, purge it.
The only being of date that's done it more extensively being Nazara with the AI-tailored indoctrination of the heretics. But even that's a bit iffy, for we learned the heretics went with Nazara of their own free will after a greater falling out with the majority of the Geth collective. Certainly could have been changed afterwards.
But that means Tali's off the hook, as the Geth activations were deliberate to test their virus. And Tali's bitter about it, as we find her father's corpse in the corridor leading to the main computer core.
No. You always had a plan. Masked life signs or an onboard medical stasis program, maybe. You wouldn't. They're wrong. You wouldn't just die like this. You wouldn't leave me.
Hey, come here.
Damn it.
He did leave a last message, however, and it's how to shut all of this down. No sign of any other connection, all the business. And thus, we shut down the core, and hunted for information, Tali needing to know what his role in this all was. And he's the perpetrator. Everything was going fine until he forced them to take a reckless act and intentionally network the Geth to full sentience, as what discussed before was against Citadel law long before the Geth's accidental sentience was achieved. And it was all to get results, seeing their early progress as signs it could work, and they could have had their world back in the year. His obsession to end this worth more than their lives, the safety of the fleet, or even being together with his daughter. He says it's for her, but it's more obviously for the ideal and not the reality. And as such, it would ruin his memory and color all of his previous acts. So, Tali can't let them see this, pleading with us not to tell them. But as we are her defender, it's up to us. Give them the data and have Tali hate us forever, withhold it and have her exiled, forever abandoned and looked down upon by her people as scum.
Or do we take the third route and pull the Shepherd cliché charismatic speech?
And I gotta tell you, after what they pulled, this is one renegade option son of a bitch!
Yeah, I don't know why, but when I normally play through and Tali's loyalty mission pops up, I have more than enough renegade points to trigger it. I haven't exactly done enough Paragon stuff to warrant it. And trust me, the renegade path is the more fulfilling for this mission's finale.
Though you can supercut the Rally the Crowd, Paragon, and Renegade paths into one massive rant against how the Admiralty's policies with this group have made them little better than the Council in their self-destructive decision-making, when, overall, despite their constraints, they're amongst the most civilized and humble in actions. Tali's actions speak for herself that she doesn't deserve this, and that all of them have used this single case for their own ends is abhorrent.
Tali's achievements are the only evidence you should need. Come on, Tali, we're leaving.
What? This is a formal proceeding!
Wrong, Admiral. This is a sham. This trial isn't about her. It's about the Geth.
This hearing has nothing to do with the Geth.
You want people to sympathize with them. And Geralt wants to go to war. None of you care about Tali. She knows more about the Geth than any other Quarian alive. You should be listening to her, not putting her on trial. Do whatever you want with your toy ships, but leave my crew out of your political bullshit. We have no new evidence. You can accept Tali's word, or you can exile the woman who saved the Citadel from the Geth. She saved the Alarai. She showed the galaxy the value of the Quarian people.
Damn straight, Tali's done more for this fleet than you assholes ever will. You're pissing on everything I fought for, everything Tali fought for. So if you exile her, you might as well do the same to me.
Me too.
Tali'zorah, in light of your history of service, we do not find sufficient evidence to convict. You are cleared of all charges. Commander Shepard, please accept these gifts in appreciation for you taking the time to represent one of our people.
With all due respect, Admiral, I didn't represent one of your people. I represented one of mine.
I can't believe you pulled that off. What you said. I've never had anyone speak like that on my behalf. Thank you for being there for my father and me. Even when... Thank you.
Well, you can still go back in and get you exiled if you want.
Thanks. But I'm fine with things like this. It's fun watching you shout.
Tali, about what your father said, what he did. You deserve better.
I got better, Shepard. I got you.
Though that did take a while. Might as well relax and see how everyone else around the ship is doing. See if anyone needs something. Like maybe some special foods, or maybe some downtime for recreation.
I still have a son. His name is Kolyat. I haven't seen him for a very long time. I used my contacts to trace Kolyat. He has become disconnected. He does what his body wills.
Oh, goddammit. Do I have to solve everyone's personal problems?